This is huge for Celtics fans as Neemias Queta is breaking out and he is ready to prove everybody wrong. That's right. So he is working on his game and spoke out at Media Day, adding some versatility to his offensive and defensive side with Kristaps Porziņģis being out. So how will he fit in a role on this Celtics team with Mazzulla's offense and defense? We're going to be breaking down all and more on this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz. We got our guest NikNBA here once again, coming back here. If you missed our earlier video talking about Baylor Shireman, Sam Hauser, go check it out. But Nick is another fellow YouTuber, breaks down Celtics content, NBA content. How are we doing today, Nick?
I'm great, man. You?
Good, good. Let's get into this video. Let's get it cooked up for all these fans that are waiting for here. We're going to be breaking down Neemias Queta. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be going over how he is ready to break out for this team. So with Neemias Queta, we all know he was a two-way player coming into this team last season, moved his way up to a standard roster spot at the end of the year. And he did have a big stint in that Western Conference road trip where he looked very, very solid, putting up some fantastic numbers here. Now, Neemias Queta speaks out on coming back to Boston and why he chose Boston. Nick had a perfect clip that he posted to his Twitter, so we're going to share it for you guys here.
The from the moment I got here, I just felt comfortable, you know. I felt like home. Everybody welcomed me. I felt really good over here, and we had just won the championship. I just had the best year of my career, so it was kind of like a no-brainer for me. Pretty much being out here, just being a part of a championship type of team with so many of these great players, it's just for me, it's just a great place to be in. So.
As you can see, Neemias feels comfortable in Boston, ready to go, ready to work, and is ready to work on an abundance of things in his game. And he also followed that up with today, talking to Bobby Kravitsky after practice, saying that it feels more natural with his second season in Boston. Feels more like home and is excited for this season. So, Nick, what is your kind of expectations for Neemias Queta? How do you feel about this? Because I'm ecstatic. I'm ready to go. I'm believing in this guy.
I love him, man. I'm part of the Queta tribe, of course, if you've seen me. But I expect him to improve. However that is, I expect him to improve because, like, it'll come up to, but like before he came here, he only played 20 games total, NBA games in 2 years. So this guy just needs to play. He needs to play. So, and like he has traits, right? He has obvious traits, right? But again, just the smaller things on the court he has to improve on. And I think a lot of that stuff is him just playing, right? Expectations, I expect him to be. It's tough because we have a really deep center, rotation. KP of course is hurt. Then we have Al Horford, who is a little bit older, so he's probably not going to play all of the time. And we got Tillman, who I love. We got Cornet, who's really solid. And then we got Queta. I expect him to get time. What I'm really expecting is for him to overtake Cornet, because I know that Joe trusts Cornet. He's been here longer. You know what I'm saying? So, and Cornet, again, is just really solid. But I felt like Queta last year, that there were times where he was, more effective than Cornet. I believe that could be depending on who they play. You know what I'm saying? But it can be a lot of factors into that. But if Queta actually improves from last year, and that you can tell that he's a lot better at the things that he was not that good at last season, then I think there's a possibility that he can overtake Cornet. Now I'm hoping that happens. Maybe not an expectation, but I expect him to just improve from last season.
I agree. I think that we're going to see a transcendence with Queta. Like you just mentioned, he only played 20 games in the NBA previous to that. If we want to look at Neemias Queta's stats in the NBA, 48 games in his career in the NBA. Average 4.4 points, 3.4 rebounds, 59% shooting for the field, 66% shooting from free throw. So obviously those numbers are in a small sample size, but I agree with you. I think he just needs the playing time. He needs the ability to showcase his skills. He's never been gifted that at an NBA level. He's been able to show it at the G League level, where he was a G League runner-up for MVP. He obviously had a fantastic year with the Celtics, with the main Celtics being their starting center for a majority of the season, leading them being a two-way player. But I think this season he's going to have to make a marked impact on those things that he grew on and learned this off season. And he said that he worked on a bunch of things, being more versatile on the offensive side of the floor, being more versatile on the defensive side of the floor. And I think we're going to see those things really come to life with Neemias Queta. You mentioned there's a lot of things that he needs to work on, maybe some finishing at the rim, maybe some foul trouble, maybe some screening, stuff like that. But if he works those little things, I think he can be fantastic. Now, Nick, we have some clips of Neemias Queta that you provided that you want to break down and kind of go over. So let's look at those. First one, Nick, we already know you're going to love this one. Let's get into it.
All right.
In after 3, and the record shows at 31 and 3.
This is against the Pacers, right? And he's only played 20 games, right? He
in after 3, and the record shows at 31
so
and
here
3.
Is a jump ball, right? He's going up against Buddy Hield, who he does not need to be all
after 3, and the record shows at 31 and
he's
3.
nervous, and then he ends up catching it, which you can, right? Now, if you're gonna tell me that, hey, even though he's only played 20 games, he should know that. I'm not gonna fight you on that. He should know that. But he learns quickly as well.
In
so
NBA
that
history,
happens, and this happens. He gets
from
a second
Portugal
chance,
in the
and
NBA,
he does it right there. He gets a man. It's just, again, it is the perfect example of somebody
in
needing to
NBA
just
history.
Again, if you're going to tell
From
me that he should
Portugal
know
in the
that
NBA,
move,
here's a
fine,
try.
I'm fighting you. But I'm just saying, like, he got something wrong, got another opportunity, and you see what happened, right? And that could go for anything. That could go for literally anything in this game. So, not just jump balls, which probably aren't going to happen too much, but again, just continuing to learn and continuing to play will really help Queta.
Exactly. And I think just learning from these big men as well, like having Porziņģis, having Horford, guys that are skilled on the offensive side and defensive side, guys that can play both sides of the floor, guys who've had years under their belt as well, can be fantastic mentors. Similarly, how we talked about Sam Hauser being a mentor for Baylor Sharman, Horford kind of being a mentor for Tillman. I think Porziņģis and Luke Kornet kind of be these mentors, or even Porziņģis for both of them being mentors, just as being a shot blocker, a rim protector, a lob threat. Neemias Queta has all the qualities of Robert Williams from a couple of seasons ago, just not the experience, not that game style, not that extra oomph. But if he can qualify and get all those like intangibles and understanding of the game, I truly think he could be that like Rob Williams-esque, maybe not replacement, but filler that the Celtics lost.
Yeah, and he's a guy that played soccer a lot when he was smaller. Goes from Portugal, so his feet very nimble. Right, there's a couple of times where he's guarding on the perimeter where I'm just like surprised that he's staying there. And again, some of the things he has to work on is position, of course, but like he's able to play two people in the pick and roll a lot of times, and that's valuable. You know, you have a lot of great pick and roll handlers in this league that like to throw lobs, the floaters. He's able and he's long enough to play those two guys, which is a great skill to have in the NBA. And you know, he just has to learn more, right? And what I was thinking about, like people that could teach him some shit is like Tillman is probably the best switching 5 in the NBA. I believe last year he was the 12th most impactful defender, I think per like basketball index, right? And he's on a 2-year minimum, right? Now, if you couple Queta's size, his length, and his feet with Tillman's switching prowess, if there's some way Tillman can give Queta some tips on perimeter defense and all that shit, that could be scary. So Queta also on the offensive side, the thing that I worry about the most from last season was his finishing inside the paint, not at the rim. So like I believe he shot like 30% on those shots. Now, half of those he got the offensive rebound back, which is probably his best attribute is like his dominance in the paint and rebounding and also screening. But if he can like get that touch right, you know what I'm saying, that can really help him.
Nah, I agree with you 100%. I think that Queta's biggest weakness on the offensive side is just finding that shot. His energy on the offensive side, being that rebounder, being that tenacious guy just in the paint is clearly shown. And in that stretch where they played the Western Conference road trip where Kornet and Porziņģis were down, he had 2 double-doubles. Like, he showed that energy. He showed that he could do that if he was given the ample time. Now, they obviously traded for Tillman after that, so it kind of hindered his kind of skill set. But another valid point that you brought up that I didn't really think about is with having all three of these bigs, with having Kornet, having Tillman, having Queta kind of replacing that Kristaps Porziņģis need and void, it's going to allow all of them to kind of get an opportunity in different scenarios. But also, since there is so much diversity with those three guys and they all specialize in different things, they can all teach each other and learn off each other and getting better at said aspects. Like you were saying, Queta getting better at that switchability, learning that from Tillman. That could translate Queta just learning that one simple skill from being a borderline NBA player to a player that's playing consistent backup minutes every single night. And it's just that one little tweak, that's one little change. And I love that you brought that up because I think that they can all learn stuff from each other
Yeah.
in this group. And speaking on Queta and learning and trying to get better and talking about stuff like that, we have another quote here from Bobby Kravitsky today, where Neemias Queta was asked on what he needs to capitalize on his opportunity with Kristaps Porziņģis rehabbing to start the season and Al Horford extending off a little bit of pace. And he said that he feels like the main thing is his consistency, playing without fouling, and the rest will take care of itself. I know that he had some foul issues, some foul trouble underneath the rim on his defensive side. It kind of was what eliminated him from, getting that growth and kind of taking him out of those games. Is that something that you think he'll necessarily grow on as well?
Yeah. I think all young centers have this problem. I remember Rob just like Rob. I can sit here and talk about Rob for like a week, but like you could just tell that athletically he was stupidly different. But early on, he just couldn't stop fouling. Like he was jumping at everything and all that shit, right? He couldn't stay on the court, right? But I feel like it's a little less with Queta. But I wouldn't honestly. I didn't think it was too bad. I didn't think it was too much of a problem during the season. And maybe it was a long time ago, so I'm probably tripping. But like, I think there's a lot of other stuff that's more important. Like I didn't think he fouled crazily. Now, of course, if you can get your fouling down, that's great. But again, the finishing not like excuse me, I like at the rim, the defensive positioning. Sometimes in that Pacers game that I had the clips from, a couple cons in there was that his defensive rebounding positioning. Like sometimes he gave up like 3 offensive rebounds in that game. So just boxing out, positioning, not, and also a lot in that game he was going up with not 2 hands a lot. So he would tap it, but it would go right to a pacer and they would hit a 3. So just doing those things and just getting better at the smaller things.
Yeah, I think like you said, I think we've kind of hit it home. Just the intangibles, just kind of learning to get it. He has the skill set, he has the qualities to be that player, and I think that's why a lot of Celtics fans are high on him, regardless if it's fans on Twitter talking about him, hyping him up, or even reporters like I know Noah Dalzell. She's a very very high on. She talked about how he is one of her top 10 predictions for this season was that he was going to be a big focal point for this Celtics big man rotation. So whether if it's fans or reporters or insiders, they all believe in this guy. They all know he has the talent and skill set to show it. He just ultimately just has to work on those little things to kind of get there to become that top tier guy into this rotation. Before we head out, Nick, like I said, we obviously know we have Tillman. We obviously know we have Queta. We obviously know we have Kornet. They're all competing in that big man group. They're all fighting during the preseason. They're all going to be fighting during the regular season. If you were to call it right now, who would be the backup big in your position?
I would go Kornet to start. Yeah, I'll go Kornet to start because I think he has some carryover from last season and just being here longer. I feel like Joe trusts Kornet more than the other centers, obviously besides like Al Horford and Kristaps. But yeah, I think that it will be Kornet to start, but I think Queta can take that job if he improves enough, right? Also, Al helps because he can also play the 4, like he can shoot. So anyone else that's there trying to, get some more time to play to show that, that they can play and they deserve position. I think Al helps that too because he can also slide to the 4 and let either Kornet, Tillman or Queta play the 5. But yeah, I will go Kornet. That is the safe option, but I do think it's the right option, especially for the start of the season now. In preseason, Queta would play more. So if Queta can show some things in preseason, I know it's just preseason, but if Queta shows the like small things improving, you never know. But at the start of the season, I'm gonna go Kornet.
I agree with you. I think that Cornette's going to be that guy. You brought up some valid points. I think the main one to hit home is Joe trusts him the most. He's been there with the team the most. I think that's where he's going to be slated. But don't be worried if a guy like Queta or Tillman fights for those minutes, gets a share there early on in the season specifically. When the last we saw of Queta in the summer league, he looked very, very good in those 2 games. So expect that kind of dominance, expect that kind of preparation heading into training camp, heading into preseason as the Celtics get ready to take on the Nuggets next week in Abu Dhabi. So they're getting ready to go. They're practicing. We got all the news breaking it down. I want to say thank you so much for Nick hopping on the channel today. Hopped on 2 videos breaking down Baylor Sherman and Sam Hauser and this Neemias Queta video. It's always a pleasure having you on the channel. If you guys don't already, go check out his channel. The links will be down in the description for all the in-depth breakdowns on Celtics, game film breakdowns on other teams as well. He's got you covered. Without further ado, I want to say thank you all for tuning into this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz with our co-host NikNBA here. Catch you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day and go Boston Celtics.